All right, today we're diving into something pretty wild. It's called the Aotearoa Urban Operating System. Now, I know what you're thinking. An operating system for a city? Yep, it's this idea that we can completely rethink how we plan, build, and, well, live in our communities. So let's get into it.
So let's just start with that big central question. What if your city wasn't just a place? What if it was more like a program, like an OS on your computer? Imagine a set of really clear logical rules, a code, that manages everything. Not just traffic and noise, but even how we connect with the people who live next door.
And this visual right here, this is the whole idea in a nutshell. You start with the code, the blueprint, the abstract rules, and it transforms into the reality, this living, breathing neighborhood. The whole point is to take our communities and rebuild their function from the ground up, aiming for something way more sustainable and, honestly, more connected.
Okay, this slide really gets to the heart of the change. For like 100 years, city planning has been stuck in these endless debates about neighborhood character. You know the deal. Vague feelings, subjective opinions. This new system throws that all out. It replaces it with what it calls a culture of adherence. And what that means is, getting permission to build something isn't about someone's opinion anymore, it's just math. It's a calculation based on objective rules and what's good for everyone.
So to really get a feel for how this whole thing works in practice, we're not just going to look at charts and rules. That's boring. Instead, we're going to meet 4 people, our guides if you will, and see this new system through their eyes.
First up, meet Maia. She lives in a place called a complete neighborhood. It's all about what they call gentle density. The whole idea is to make daily life a real part of the community fabric. So for Maia, life isn't built around her car. It's designed around walking, being close to nature, and feeling genuinely connected to her neighbors.
Then we have Alex. His life is totally different. He lives right in the heart of it all, in the transit spine. This is the high-energy, high-density core of the city. His life is completely plugged into that economic engine, all supported by amazing public transit. It's a different kind of sustainable living, where pretty much everything you need is just a quick train ride away. No traffic jams for Alex.
And now for something completely different. This is Tane. Tane's a farmer, and in this system, his land isn't just land. It's a key part of the rural engine. The whole point is to protect his farm as a national food basket. It's about creating a secure, sustainable food supply by putting up a hard wall against endless suburban sprawl.
And our final guide is Kahu. Now, Kahu lives and works in what's called the industrial ecosystem. And yeah, I know that sounds like a contradiction, but it's this totally reimagined industrial zone. It's designed to balance the needs of heavy industry with a decent quality of life for the people who work there. A place where your job and your home can actually exist in harmony.
All right, so let's kick things off with the urban experience. We're going to follow Maia and see what life is actually like in one of these neighborhoods that's designed to be a 24/7 ecosystem, not just some sleepy suburb where everyone disappears during the day.
This little infographic of Maia's day pretty much says it all. You can see it here. She wakes up in her cottage court, she walks over to a local co-working spot, grabs lunch at a cafe just down the street. The key takeaway? Her day isn't shaped by traffic and being stuck in a car. It's shaped by connection, by convenience, and by being surrounded by nature. And here's a really cool piece of the code that runs in Maia's neighborhood. It's called the 330-300 rule. It's super simple. From any window, you have to be able to see at least 3 trees. The whole neighborhood needs 30% tree canopy cover, and you're never more than 300 meters away from a park. See? Nature isn't just a bonus here. It's treated as a basic utility, just like water or electricity.
And this right here, this is the magic number that makes all that possible. 15 dwelling units per acre. Now, why'd that number? Well, according to this model, that's the mathematical tipping point. It's the minimum density you need to support all those local shops, cafes, and services that make a neighborhood truly walkable and, well, complete.
Okay, let's jump over to Alex, living on that transit spine. He's right next to a super busy train line, but his apartment is silent. How? Well, it's all about this hard-shell, soft-core design. Think of it like this. The outside of the building is a tough, soundproofed shell that blocks out all the city noise. But the inside? It opens up into this quiet, green courtyard. It's literally a sanctuary right in the middle of the city's engine.
So you're probably wondering, who pays for all that fancy soundproofing? And that brings us to a really important rule called the newcomer principle. It's pretty straightforward. The agent of change, in this case the developer who built Alex's apartment, is responsible for dealing with their own impact. So the developer had to pay for the soundproofing, not the railway that was already there. It's a simple idea, but it's a total game changer for letting people and industry live side by side.
All right, let's leave the busy city center behind now and head out to the hinterland. We're going to see how this system protects the rural and industrial areas. And it all kicks off with this really powerful idea designed to stop urban sprawl in its tracks for good.
And that concept is called the urban dam. It's a fantastic metaphor. Just like a real dam holds back water, this creates a hard, legally defined line in the sand. On one side, you've got the Urbanization Promoting Area, or UPA, that's the city. On the other side is the Urbanization Control Area, or UCA, that's the protected countryside. The whole point is to finally put a permanent stop to that slow, expensive creep of suburbia.
So what does this dam actually mean for Tane, our farmer? Well, let's look at his day. Because that control area, the UCA, basically bans subdivision and new city infrastructure, it completely kills land speculation. Nobody's buying up farmland hoping to flip it for a subdivision. So Tane's land is valued for what it actually produces, food, not for what it could be. And that gives him the security he needs to invest in his farm for the long haul, for the next 30 years. Okay, let's follow Kahu's journey home from work. He starts in the engine room. This is a zone that's purely for heavy industry. No housing allowed, period. Then on his walk home, he passes through a buffer zone. This is for lighter industry. Think breweries, maybe some logistics centers. And finally, he gets to his quiet, soundproof department in the workforce habitat. Each zone has a specific job to do, and that's how they all work together without getting in each other's way. So we've seen how this system could work for Maia, Alex, Tane, and Kahu. Now let's just zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. Because when you boil it all down, this whole operating system is really asking us to make a fundamental choice.
And that choice is what the model calls the great trade-off. Look at the scales here. On one side, you have sprawl, and what they call the freedom of chaos. That's the old way of doing things, the subjective, bespoke planning. And on the other side, you have certainty and the discipline of the dam. That's this new standardized system. The argument is, if you want that amazing, functional, sustainable, complete neighborhood, you have to be willing to trade one for the other.
And that brings us right to the final, really provocative question at the heart of all this. You know, this is a system that's designed to give us certainty, sustainability, and community. But to get all that, it demands a disciplined, rules-based approach. It demands that we stick to the code. Which leaves us with the big question. Is Aotearoa ready to live inside the machine?